sisters at Tirupattur community
is indeed privileged with much esteem to articulate about the precious life of our beloved co-adjutrix sisters in Belgium. Most of us have not heard about them nor seen them. Can we compare these virgins to an earthen vessel? Chosen earthen vessels are traditional, cheap, simple, not expensive, but its utility value is excellent. We look for food cooked in earthen vessels which is more palatable and healthy. The simple, humble, obedient, committed sisters were contented with a minimum. Their dedicated life of service added beauty to the community and offered tranquility and joy. In attending to hard manual tasks with cheerfulness and dedication, their lifestyle was so simple and humble. There would have been lot of privation and difficulties, but no vanity in their lifestyle and speech. Can these sisters could be compared to the violet flowers hidden under the leaves in the garden of St.Charles at West. From the history of the congregation, we read that the congregation decided to admit the first co-adjutrix sisters in 1st October 1919. Then onwards till 8th September 1938, there were 13 co-adjutrix sisters joined. Co-adjutrix sisters were helping the choir sisters in all around work. From the admission register, we come to understand that Sister Mary Fernando Brifa and Sister Bernadine Helen made their journey to heaven before their profession in 1935 and 1940. In 1938, 1940 and 1957, 3 co-adjutrix sisters made their way to heaven. Therefore, there is no much information about them. The first group of Indian sisters, Veronica, Regina Rodriguez, Matilda, Benedicta and Alexander, arrived in Belgium on May 7, 1961. They had the privilege of seeing and living with few of them. Sister Louise Dumoulin used to do a lot of manual work around the house. She was deaf but accepted her handicap patiently when she could not hear what was going on around her. She died on 26th May 1967. Her photo is not available. Sister Anna Roos. She spent her life in Peruve community, died in 9th September 1964. Sister Mary Cecile Dufrance.
Sister Cecile was the only child of her parents. She rendered her services in the boarding school and the juvenile supervising and looking after the children of the residential school.
Sister Mary Gottlieb Marcus.
Loved to do the errands of the community on her bicycle. She would also visit the families in the village to listen to their stories and problems.
Sister Mary Josepha Math
was in charge of the kitchen department and spent her whole active life supplying food for the community, the boarding children, the psychiatric patients and staff. She was a humble and jovial sister, ready to render service. She spent the last years of her life confined to her room. She kept herself busy praying and knitting woolies for the poor children in the missions.
Sister Mary Julian Gowler
was the photographer of the community for all community events. She was suffering from multiple sclerosis and was confined to her room for many years. She could only move around in her wheelchair.
Sister Mary Marthe Descamps
Was a hard-working sister who rendered her services in the boarding school and in the psychiatric institute. Even after her retirement, she visited the patients to listen to them and pray with them. She loved to visit the elderly, sick, and lonely persons in the village.
Sister Saint-Pierre Crampon
She was a very kind and loving person. She lived in Peruvian. In spite of her great age, she was the first person to make coffee in the morning and take it to Mother Luis de Gonzaga and Mother Aunt Mary. She took care of these elderly sisters. Very often, she went to visit the people in their houses, and all of them loved them. She worked in the kitchen for a long time, very gentle and loving, compassionate towards the poor, and simple in her approach and dealings.
All these sisters were boon to the community by their presence and their contribution in the apostolate. Our congregation is ever grateful to them. In 1961, the decision to suppress the coadjutrix branch of the congregation is taken. Henceforth, there will be only choir sisters, with the existing coadjutrix sisters joining the community of the choir sisters. On the same day, they received the gold ring and are addressed as mother instead of sister, which had distinguished them from the choir sisters.
Tertiaries in India.
There were 17 tertiaries joined from 1949 to 1961. Among them, 4 sisters are alive till today. Thanks be to God. Collaborators for the mission in India. The zeal and example of the sisters inspired many young women to dedicate their lives in the service of the Lord. Most of them did not have the necessary educational and social requisites to join the congregation. In order to make it feasible to respond to God's call, the Third Order of St. Francis of Assisi was inaugurated with a written permission of the bishop. Mother Jean Marie Bosco was the superior then. Widows and orphans who wanted to consecrate themselves to the Lord and His service were admitted. After Holy Mass on October 3, 1949, eve of the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, Father C. Lobo inaugurated the confraternity. He gave the habit of the Third Order to the first 4 tertiaries: Francis Josephine, Francis Lourdes Mary, Francis J. Mary, and Francis Xavier Amon. Their habit comprised of a long white blouse, a brown sari, and the cord of St. Francis. Mother Carola was their mistress. They occupied the old dormitory of the novices. They had a regular timetable and a period of formation. Mother Teresita was appointed mistress from 1957 onwards. They also had annual retreats and were transferred to different communities by the provincial superior. Their loyalty and generous service has been really edifying.
Sister Josephine Secura, born on 19th March 1938.
85 years of old, hails from Mangalore, Kalyanpur. Her parents were late Leo Secura, late Lucy Secura. She studied in Mary Colonel School Hill up to 5th standard, and then she was admitted in Sansthan Church School and studied 6th and 7th standard. The siblings were 4 of them, 2 girls and 2 boys, all died. When she was 5 years old, her mother died, and after her mother's death, her father got married second time, and she has 2 step brothers and 1 step sister. All are alive. Staying at Kalyanpur, Mangalore in Udupi Taluk, she had a great desire to join the convent, but she had not had the chance of completing SSLC, so she came in the year 1960 on February 14th to Shimoga Convent. She was accompanied by her cousin, Father Augustine Secura, who was the director and vicar general of KGF Bangalore. She is the first cousin of Sister Angeline Secura and relative of late Mother Anne Mary Secura. Then, late Mother Ignatius S. Chandy was superior, and late Sister Teresita was in charge of the Tertiary. When she joined, there were already 5 sisters. Sister Josephine joined along with Philomena Arosa and Cecilia Ferreira. They were vested on October on the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. After 1 year of novitiate, on the same day, on October 4th, in the year 1961, she was professed the same day. She was transferred to Nirmala Hospital, Bhadravati. Josephine, after a few years, was transferred to Newtown, Bhadravati to replace Sister Noyala in the kitchen. She served in the kitchen for 15 years. She was transferred back to Nirmala Hospital, Bhadravati, and served in the kitchen. She was very much interested in cooking, rather expert in cooking for all. Simple lifestyle was that she would spend more time in prayer, serve in the kitchen, preparing good food for all the sisters, and prayerful and punctual for her spiritual exercises, meditation, sacrament of Eucharistic celebration, and confession, visit to the Blessed Sacrament twice, and recitation of the Rosary. All this was a faithful practice, does perfectly, and all her work is very neat and clean. As she is retired from all her work, she spends more time in prayer.
ನಿಮಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಇದ್ರಾ ಸಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್?
ಯಾವಾಗ ಮದರ್ ತೆರೆಸಿಟ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ರು,
ಓಕೆ.
ಅವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್.
ಅವರ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನದ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 2 ವರ್ಷ ನಿಮಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಂತರ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪಟ್ಟ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಓಕೆ. ಆಗ ಯಾವ ಸೀರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಪಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ?
ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಕಲರ್ ಸೀರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು.
ಇದು ಬಿಳಿ ಸೀರೆ ಈಗ ಉಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ?
ಸೀರೆ ಆ ಥರ ಸೀರೆ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಬಿಳಿ ಸೀರೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟಿವಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಕಲರ್ ಸೀರೆ.
Sister Salit Anne Mary was born on 29th April 1944. She is from Kodaikanal, Shenbaganur, Tamil Nadu.
78 years old. Her father late Philip and Mother Teresa Agathamma. She is the 7th child. She studied in the Holy Cross Convent up to 8th standard in Tamil Nadu. Since she could not complete her studies SSLC, she came to convent along with Gracie to join the tertiary. She joined the convent never to return home. She used to go home for holidays along with Sister Gracie since they were from same place. Sister Salet joined at Shimoga in the year 1960. Her visitation was on October 4th, 1961. Profession was on 10th, 1962. Soon after her profession, she was sent to Nirmala Hospital by Sister Jean Maury, who was the superior and who was transferred after 15 years to Richestown, Bangalore, to look after the babies. She is very fond of babies and orphan children. From there, she was transferred back to Nirmala Hospital, Bhatravadi. She was in charge of the laundry. She is the jack of all trades, talented, punctual for all her duties, prayerful, faithful to her spiritual exercises, very hardworking, simple, beautiful, obedient, and very pleasant in dealing with. Anyone can ask for any work. She is very spontaneous in obliging.
ನೀವು ಬರುವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದ, ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡದ್ದ? ನೀವು ಸೇರುವಾಗ ಸಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬಂದದ್ದ?
ಹೌದು, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ರೈಸ್ತರು ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೆಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ರಜೆಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು. ಆವಾಗ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬಂದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳುವಾಗ ಅವರು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು, ಆಯಿತು ಒಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು.
I am Father John Roncalli, belonging to the Order of Friar Servants of Mary. I am priest for the past 32 years. I am from Kodaikanal. My father had 7 siblings. They were 7 boys and 1 girl, and 1 girl is today Sister Salet and Mary in the tertiary of the congregation of the Sisters of St.Charles. When I was a child, she used to come for holidays, annual holidays, and on seeing her in her brown sari, so graceful, prayerful, energetic, young, beautiful, I was always inspired. Being only female child, she chose the path of Jesus and thus dedicated herself for the service of the Lord. And I had always developed this tendency and desire to serve the Lord. And as soon as I completed my 10th standard, I joined the Order of Friar Servants of Mary. And since then, my auntie has been always inspirational, energy booster, my spiritual mentor. Until now she keeps up that, supporting me, assisting me, and attending all my difficult times too. We would meet very rarely, as we will speak very rarely, but at the same time, through her spiritual letters, she has been always edifying me. Till now, the congregation of the Sisters of St. Charles have been always so graceful, tender, and attentive to her, my auntie, Sister Salethana Mary. Thank you, dear sisters, for the support. I can also proudly say that in one way or other, you too have been my supporter through my auntie in my strong faith, conviction, tender, loving service to the people in need. Thank you, and wish you all the best, and I share you my prayers too. God bless.
Sister Jaya Mary, her baptismal name is Jayamma. She was born on November 25th, 1935.
Her father's name is late Muthu and mother's name is Mary. She completed her 5th standard. As she was dedicated her life for the Lord, she entered the convent on 30th July 1955. At present, she is in Thomastown. She has 5 brothers and a sister. She rendered her service in 4 communities. Those are Bhadravati, Jolarpet, Shimoga, and St. Thomastown. Her inspiration for her life was St. Francis. She is very committed and renders her service with full dedication. She is faithful to her prayer life, which she cherishes.
Sister Sunita, her niece, a medical student, says,
I thank the Lord for the very gift of my vocation. Sister Jayamary has always been an instrument in instilling in me the seed of vocation. Since my childhood, she used to encourage me to live a life of holiness and that I offer my life to God through religious life. Since the time I joined the family of St. Charles, she has inspired me to be simple and humble and lead a life of holiness through her very life. I always wanted to imitate her spirit of prayer, inner peace, and silence with which she offers many souls to God. She has helped me to recognize God's voice and answer His call through my vocation. Sister Mary, she was born on 23rd September 1941 in Shimoga.
who was named as Mary Philomena Saroja, was born to Mr. Marian Aroja. They were living at police quarters as her father was a policeman. There are 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. Mary was the 4th child. In the year 1960, she joined the religious life in the congregation of the Sisters of St.Charles, Borromeo. On 16 June 1961, she was employed in Mary Immaculate Aided School. She worked with great commitment and was very faithful in fulfilling all her duties. She was taking care of infants and little children that were in Nirmala Mandir. She poured her motherly love and was very compassionate as the little ones were orphans. She got retired from school on September 30th, 1999. After that, she was doing gardening, lending be a helping hand in the orphanage. She spends a lot of time before the Blessed Sacrament, praying for the needs of the people of God. As she knows many inmates of Nirmala Mandir, whenever they come to the convent, she listens to them and consoles them when they pour out or share their joys and sorrows. Her mother expired at the age of 107. Today she is 81 years old. Prays with Sister Martha D'Souza, who is 87 years old. Both of them attend online Mass and pray the Rosary. Sister Mary joins the community for all the community of prayers. She edifies us by her devout life of prayer, humility, and self sacrificing spirit. She does all her work by herself. Her youngest sister Elizabeth and nephews inquire about her and visit her too.
Great Sister Gracie also hails from Kodaikanal, Chambaganur, Tamil Nadu district.
One of her brother, Mr. Ratnam, was a bank manager. Mother Virginie was very fond of her. She too was brought back to Nirmala Hospital. She served for many years in the hospital during the time of Mother Jean Marie. All these tertiary were working the hospital, cleaning, making bed, attending to the patients. Later, she was transferred to Newtown Community, serving as an office assistant in Canada Primary School, Bhadravati. No complaint from her, neither with her work nor with lifestyle, but faithful in small things, always cheerful, graceful in her speech, dealing with children and staff. Graciously, she would put up with all privation and negation. No vanity in her speech, even when she brings a lot of eatables from home holidays. She loved to carry a lot of fruits and vegetables to the community. Sister Gracie was admitted in Nirmala Hospital for high BP and passed away in the hands of Sister Dr. Regina. A brother who had come to see her was there. She was very honest, simple, prayerful, and a beautiful soul. She was always grace-filled person, living in the presence of the Lord, very respectful, kind.
Late Sister Margaret. She hails from Sagar, Karnataka state.
She came along with her sister to Shimoga. She is Marathi speaking and her hobby was to be in the chapel, pray anytime, all the days, even allowed to be at night in the chapel. She had passion for prayer, rosary. She is very simple, helpful and humble and even jovial. She served in richest town Bangalore, rendering her service in the school as an office assistant for many years. In charge of cleaning the chapel, she was a linguistic, knew many languages to speak: Marathi, English, Konkani, Kannada, and Tamil. She was transferred to Nirmala Hospital. She was very kind to the poor patients. In her latest years, she was confined to bed in Nirmala Hospital and died there in the hand of Sister Regina. She was buried in Newtown Cemetery.
Sister Bernard, she is from Bangalore.
I know Sister Bernard, the tertiary, who was in charge of the chapel linen and the sacristy from June 1970. I have seen her taking care of the chapel linen with so much care and reverence. And always she had a smile and she was going about very recollected, and she never used to speak unnecessarily, doing her work and having respect and reverence for the chapel linen. I have seen her the free time either praying the rosary or praying the way of the cross. I have learned a lot from her how to take care of the chapel things. I am happy that I came to know about her. Thank you.
I am glad to speak about these tertiaries, especially about Monty. Only in Bangalore I came to know about these tertiaries. I was told that they were the third order of Francis of Assisi. They were guided by a sister in charge. In Bangalore, they were taking care of the abandoned babies. Monty was the leader among them. They were 5. She was really a motherly to these babies. She took great care of them, and the sisters were very pleased with these sisters. Whatever work was allotted to her, she did it faithfully and lovingly. She was very smart and was quick in accomplishing the work given to her. In Bhadra, she was taking care of Mother Teresita, an elderly sister who was the superior at that time. She was very pleased with Monty. Sisters appreciated her hard work, which she did with great concern and care. Only 3 were in Bhadra: Bernard, Margaret, and Monty. They were very loving and generous, very much united with one another. They did whatever was allotted to them, and everyone appreciated them.
I'm glad to speak about our tertiary, Mary. She has been a very, very faithful model tertiary I have come across. Ever since I joined the convent in 66, I knew her, and she has been a very good friend to me. The main reason was that she knew my aunt, Mother Ignatius, who died of an accident, And my coming was such a pleasant surprise for her, and she was so happy that I am there in Bangalore. And she used to be very kind to me, and even I too was kind to her. And what I noticed was that she was given the duty of the cowshed, and the way she looked after the cows, the number of cows, those days we had a quite number of cows, and she had a lot of work. You can imagine with these cows how much of work is there apart from milking, keeping the place clean and tidy, and a lot of work, but she did everything so cheerfully, and everybody could see her smiling. And she spent most of the time there. We used to call her always cowshed sister. And she also, then later on, she started developing twins all over, especially her knees. And I too had the same problem, so both of us used to inquire about our health and the knees especially. And as years passed by, she became very sick. She was bent and she was using a walking stick. And later on, when I came, I saw her using a walker. And then after some time, she was confined to bed, but always cheerful, committed to her work. She is really a good example for me. I always used to say, whether it is cow's work or any other work, fidelity to what is given to us, to do it with all love, care, concern for others. And she was always other-centered. She used to ask about others' health, about the other sisters in the community, and a person for whom I had great admiration. And now when I think of her, I pray that she may enjoy eternal bliss. Thank you, Mary Sister, for all that you have been to the congregation and to me especially. Thank you.
Tertiary Juliana Lewis, Reeve Jim, Mary Immaculate Convent, Shimoga.
A married woman, after her husband's death, she wanted to become a tertiary and join the Third Order of the Franciscans. She was elderly and had no children. She was respected by many and lovingly called her Jillabai. She worked in the dispensary by giving country medicines such as bitter medicine. She was given the charge of distributing milk powder to people, to all those who wanted. She used to give communitive mixture for small ailments. She died of old age as a tertiary. The other two who joined the tertiaries order were, one is Antu and the second one Philo. They left after some years.
Dear sisters, it's my privilege to express my thanks, gratitude to, on behalf of the congregation, to the last four valiant tertiaries who are with us, Mary, J. Mary, Josephine and Salat. I have lived with all of them and experienced their love, their loyalty, commitment and honesty. I consider it an honor to have known most of the tertiaries in India and also a few sisters in Belgium who have been tertiaries in the past, but eventually they got incorporated in the normal stream. All of them have toiled night and day for the growth of the congregation. I appreciate and admire their hard work. I pray to the Lord to reward them generously in His own way and grant them eternal rest. Once again, a special thanks to Sisters Mary, J. Mary, Josephine and Salat for all that they are and are doing for the growth of our congregation. Thank you.
I come before you today, and there's just one thing that I want to say. Thank you, Lord, scenes that I cannot see. There